This guitar was the main guitar for the singer-songwriter of the Senseless things and Deadcuts, Mark Keds, and many other bands. Mark sadly passed away just a few weeks ago, and this guitar was gifted to its current owner by Mark in his will, and it's been brought to me for a general refurb and a good setup. So there's a few things that need sorting out. Cosmetically, it's seen a lot of wear. It needs a new scratch plate because of the damage here. I'm probably going to clean up this a little bit. It's just general wear. I mean, there's no rust or anything on this, but that needs sorting out. The electrics, I don't know. We'll have to open up and have a look. The frets are in reasonable condition, which leads me to believe this may have been re-fretted. Now the main problem is going to be sorting out this break in the back of the neck, which at the moment, as you can see, is open. I think that's from string tension. I haven't released the string tension yet. This has been glued back together once already, and it's come apart again. I don't know whether that's just because it's been dropped, but obviously that presents a problem because we can't really reuse wood glue in this hole here, in this gap here, because the wood glue won't stick the two joints together because they've already soaked up wood glue, and it doesn't really stick to itself very well. So what I'm going to do is what I did with another guitar recently, which is use some epoxy resin, which is kind of anathema to guitar techs, and luthiers will probably hate me saying this, but it's really the only thing that's actually going to stick this back together with any kind of durability. I don't believe it affects the tone, but that's what I'm going to do. So that's my first job, and then we'll move on to the frets, and I'll get a new scratch plate ordered and have a look at the electrics. So I've taken the screws out of the scratch plate because I've got to order a new one, and you can see underneath what colour this guitar was originally. It was red. Jerome did tell me it was red, and I didn't quite believe him, but it's had some wear, obviously, because it's now brown, except for this bit under the scratch plate, which shows the original cherry red colour. The other interesting thing is, if you take the scratch plate off, you can see where the tenon joint is for the neck, which is round here, and there's a little gap here where it doesn't quite meet up, just at the top probably. I'm sure it meets up inside the guitar, but just at the top it doesn't quite meet up with the body. So essentially that's the reason for the scratch plate. Really, it's you do see Les Paul Juniors without scratch plates, but this one covers up the tenon joint. This is the crack on the back of the neck. There's two cracks here. There's the original one, which is opened up again, that was fixed previously, which isn't going to take wood glue. But there's also a new crack down the side here, which you can see, and that will take wood glue. If you can see inside of it, the wood is clean, so that indicates to me that's a new crack. So what I'm going to do is a twin approach with this. I've had some clamps on this, so I know it's going to close up nice and cleanly, or relatively so anyway. There might be a little bit of a lip at the top, which we'll have to use some scrapers to get rid of. But basically this one here, because it's a new crack, I'm going to use wood glue on. But this one I'm going to use epoxy glue on because it's already had glue inside it and it won't take wood glue. The problem I've got well, it's not really a problem because I can sort of do it anyway, is I've got to do both of these at the same time, because if I just do this one, I won't then be able to open this crack up to get the glue in. So what I'm going to have to do is open up this crack, get the wood glue in, and then get the epoxy glue in here, and then get 2 clamps on. So I've worked out, because I did a dry run, that I can get 1 clamp here and the other clamp here, and that will close it up nicely. The epoxy in theory takes only 30 minutes to dry, but I like to leave things a long time if I possibly can, and I'm certainly going to leave this one for overnight because the wood glue will take a little bit longer, although again that wood glue that I'm going to use, the alkaline wood glue, only takes 4 hours to dry. But I'm going to clamp this up this morning and get the glue in there, clamp it up and leave it till tomorrow, and then we'll come back tomorrow and scrape it and clean it up. May have to do some filling and things like that. We'll have to see how that goes. So let's get the glue prepared and get the glue in there. Right, so that's all clamped up now, and I'm just going to leave this till tomorrow. The little glue that's squeezed out from the side has been cleaned off. There's probably a little bit of squeeze out just underneath this clamp here from the epoxy, but I've put some cling film on this clamp so it won't stick to the clamp. And we're going to have to do a little bit of clean up around there anyway with scrapers, so I'm not too bothered about that. So we're just going to leave this now until tomorrow. Okay, it's the morning after, and now it's the moment of truth. Let's get these clamps off and see how well that glue job's gone. Yeah, to be honest, I'm pretty pleased with that. That's gone just about as well as I could possibly have expected it to go. There's a little bit of leak out here of the glue, but there's hardly any lip at all there. So I need to clean this up and maybe do a little bit of finish repair, maybe some cherry red dye in there, possibly a bit of spraying, but I'm not sure whether we need to do that, but we'll see. So let's get the scrapers out. So the first thing I'm going to use to scrape is it's a Stanley knife blade. I don't know whether you call that a Stanley knife blade in the States, but basically it's a box cutter, is that what it is? And it's had a bit of a hook put on on the edge, so it does work like a scraper. So just take a flat edge and smooth over one side so it bites a bit and it takes off. I've also got some proper Lie-Nielsen scrapers, some flat ones, and a gooseneck scraper, and the gooseneck scraper sometimes is useful for this too, but mainly it's going to be this one, I think. So we'll get in and see if we can scrape some of this off. Okay, I'm fairly comfortable with that now. I might use some sandpapers on it as well, just to take the surface down a little bit smoother. But with my finger, it feels fine. Quite comfortable with that. Right, so we've got this nice and smooth now. You can't feel where the joins are. Interestingly, you can see where the previous repair had been done. So this neck had been broken before, and some splints have been put in. So a channel's basically been carved into the side of the neck here, on either side of the truss rod channel, and some new pieces of mahogany are glued in, and then it's all carved back so that it's smooth. And that was done the first time it broke. So this crack that's already opened up, the one we used the epoxy in, that was where that was done. Obviously, I mean, that's the traditional way of fixing a neck break, and you know, in theory it's the best way, because it introduces some new straight pieces of wood which makes it stronger. But obviously, as this demonstrates, the new breaks have gone straight through that piece that's been splinted in, and so it's not exactly made the neck stronger than just gluing the cracks together in the way that I've just done. So yeah, just interesting. But obviously, any Gibson, because of the angle of the neck and the way that it bends back from the front, if you drop that on the floor, it's going to put a tremendous amount of stress just here on the neck, and there's only about 5mm of wood between the back of the neck and the truss rod channel coming through here, so it's likely to snap, and that's why I see so many of these. So I'm just going to put some red stain, maybe some amber stain as well, just to give it the aged look as well, into this wood that I've exposed here where I've scraped it back. And then I might put some nitro on there afterwards, but I'm not too sure whether I'm going to bother with that. As you can see anyway, the guitar's a bit beaten up, so it's going to look a bit weird if there's a really nicely finished area of the guitar and the rest of it is so beaten up as it is. So let me get on with putting that bit of dye in there, and we'll take it from there. So this dye is just going to get into the wood. Also, I found that it does dye the nitro a little bit as well. It's just the Crimson Guitars Stunning Stains, the water-based one, but I think it's an aniline-based dye, so it does have some reasonably good penetrating power. I'm actually going to add a little bit of amber in just for these areas here because they do stand out a little bit. Just want to darken it down a little bit here. Okay, so that should do for the dye. I might want to go back over that. I'm not too sure. I mean, it looks pretty good to me. Just wipe off some excess. Yeah, I mean, I think I'll probably come back and do some more dyeing on that because it's going to dry a bit lighter than that anyway. It's not invisible. It's never going to be invisible. I mean, as you can see, you can still see the splints from the previous repair anyway. But the main thing is that it doesn't feel like there's ever been a break in this neck. So when Jerome's playing it, it's going to feel good. Got the guitar plugged into an amp, just testing the pickups. Nice, plenty of sound coming out of there. Well, this is interesting. In the control cavity we've got a massive capacitor, what they used to call the bumblebee capacitor. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these pots out, and sometimes you can see a serial number on the pots and that will give you a date. Okay, you won't be able to see it with this camera, but according to the number on the pots, this guitar was made in 1959. I found that quite hard to believe, and I still am having trouble getting my head around the fact that it might actually be that old. But then when I looked in the Deschazwa guitar identification book, and what we've got here is solid bodies, numbers 1953 to 61. The number which is printed on the back, ink stamped on the back of the peg head, which starts at 93, which is what this does, would indicate it was made in 1959.